Hi everyone, this is Miss Murphy again. I'm continuing on with my Zentangle design. So I've completed all of my patterns, and within my design I actually included at least three sections that had three personally symbolic patterns that represent something about myself, which is what you should have done in your design. So you could have any patterns you want as long as you had three symbolic patterns that represent something about yourself. So now we're on to the next step, which is adding our Sharpie. And I'm showing you first here how I started with just the outline of my Zentangle, making sure you can see that. So you want to take your time at first just to start with the outline, and you should be using your Sharpie that you got in your materials packet. So I really go slowly with this because I want to ensure that I get a nice neat outline, and I also turn it as I go. And you don't have to have it all outlined, but I like to do this in the beginning just to have the outline of my basic shape here, my whole entire Zentangle. So just getting the outline helps me to get a nice good start. Turning it around in different directions just to get the outline. And notice how I actually have some of my patterns going off the edge of my paper, which is something I said you could do. So I have a couple sections like that here where I've added my patterns going off the page. So just kind of make sure that you outline those carefully. And then I go in and I outline my tangled sections, which I already did part of in the beginning. All right, so the objective and the goal for your Zentangle design in terms of applying your color is to apply a sense of unity throughout. You already created a sense of unity with repetition. Unity is when we have a sense of wholeness with all of the elements of art combined. This can usually be achieved through like repetition. We have repetition with our pattern, and when we want to show unity in terms of coloring in our design, we want to make sure that we don't just have some sections colored in over here and then we leave some sections not colored in. So I'm going to start with a small section, which is what I recommend for you. This is one of my smaller sections, and it just helps to get a good start if you start with one of your smaller areas. So I'm going to start with this, and I'm just going to start by outlining what I have in here first. And then I'm going to decide which areas are going to be colored in with my Sharpie and which areas I'm going to leave behind. Sorry about that. A little commercial came out of my music in the background, so I'll just turn that off. Sorry about that. And let me just move ahead here. So I just like to take my time as I go. Now, I have a few things that I am going to color in, such as some of my dots here. And I'm going to go inside here. But I also want to find some larger solid areas throughout my Zentangle design that I am also going to color in and add. So we want to have what we know as balance and unity. So we want to have unity because we want to have, some areas that are repeatedly colored throughout. So we want to have a good balance of positive and negative space. And by adding some of our Sharpie to color in some of those areas with solid color, we are going to create a sense of unity and balance with positive and negative space. And you'll notice here that I actually have some negative space in here, and I intend to fill that in. I had just drawn in the basic outline of my pattern. So now I'm actually going to figure out how I'm going to fill that in a little bit more. And you want to make sure you just take your time with this so that you get it nice and neat. And so this is an example of how I didn't just outline it, but I actually took time to color in and have a balance between positive and negative space. And again, just like when you first started drawing your Zentangle, you want to just make this a very mindful and relaxing process. So you're going to take your time. I mean, I go a little faster just because I'm demonstrating, but generally I like to slow it down a little bit so that A, I get good craftsmanship in my design, but also B, I'm, having a very mindful, relaxing experience when I'm drawing my Zentangle, which is really what it's all about as well. So you'll see what I mean here. The positive space are the parts that are filled in with my black marker. The negative space are the areas that are left empty. So when I look at this, I'm going to ask myself, do I see a good balance here? Or are there some areas that I could fill in? And I would like to fill a little bit more of it in with just some more designs. And I actually realized that I wanted to add one more shape down here just to kind of accentuate so it doesn't look so empty down here. So you might even change some of your design as you go, and then you might even decide, maybe there's something else I can do. So I decided that I'm going to add some more of my dot patterns in this one, so that I have more of a balance between that positive and negative space. So sometimes when I'm deciding about filling in some of my positive and negative space, it may not necessarily mean solid color in all areas. It may just mean that I fill in with some more of my pattern perhaps. And I'm gonna add a little bit more in here. And the fun about this is that sometimes I just start recreating things as I go, just to enhance them a little bit. So your goal for your next step is to really take your time and be conscious of or conscientious of your use of balance and unity throughout your design by thinking about areas in which you can balance that positive and negative space. And it's really kind of creative problem solving as you go and seeing what you can do to even enhance some of the patterns that you've already done as you go. So now what I'm going to do is go through each section and start coloring in, balancing out the positive and negative space. Remember to have some areas that you fill in solid and that you don't want to leave a lot of empty negative space throughout. So even when I go into my larger patterns, or you go into your larger patterns, you want to consider some areas that you can color in solid to balance it out throughout and create that sense of unity and wholeness with your Zentangle. I will continue with another video, but I just wanted to give you a start on your next steps as far as coloring in and creating a sense of unity and wholeness within your Zentangle design. And good luck with your next step.